and welcome back to House of R. I'm Joanna Robinson, and joining me today, our fingers grazing each other's. Could be.
Fingers touch.
It's Mallory Rubin.
Oh, I think I might be a room without walls, floor, ceiling, and infinite nothing.
That sounds right.
That's the vibe.
Hi, we're both here, gratefully ill, to talk to you about the Vampire Lestat finale.
We are barely hanging on. We are thrilled to share that the Ringerverse team, the Midnight Boys Pew Pew, and the House of R will be returning to San Diego Comic-Con this July.
We're kicking off on Thursday, July 23rd at Whiskey Girl for a Ringerverse fan meetup. No badge required. We'll be there for an hour or so, starting around 6:30. So come say hi, grab a drink, celebrate with us.
And then on Saturday, July 25th at 10:30 a.m., come to our panel. Comic-Con badge holders can find the Midnight Boys Pew Pew and the House of R.
Correct.
In room 5AB on the upper level of the convention center for a Ringerverse Supergroup panel. We're going to be discussing the franchises that have dominated nerd culture this year and taking stock of what's to come.
So whether you're local to San Diego or in town for Comic-Con, we'd love to see you at Whiskey Girl on Thursday. Or if you're a badge holder, join us on Saturday, July 25th for our panel.
See you in San Diego.
All right, quick programming reminders.
Yeah.
House of the Dragon in full effect. We
That's
will have
right,
our
deep
deep dive, allegedly, coming
We're
out.
We're going to try super
We're
hard.
going to do our best.
We're going to try super, super hard.
Also, we'll do our best to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in San Diego this weekend for San Diego Comic-Con. There's a couple things happening there. Will we be there? Yes, we will.
That's the plan and the intention.
That is the plan. We've got a meetup.
Thursday night.
You probably saw the ad for this just recently. There's a meetup Thursday night. You don't need
Whiskey
to pass for
Girl.
that.
Yeah.
There's a panel Saturday morning. You do need to pass for that.
Please come. We don't want to be embarrassed by an empty room.
I was less worried about it because our room was actually quite full last year.
Yeah.
I was worried last year, and then our
Busting
room
at
was
the seams last year.
Standing room only. But we're in a bigger room this year.
Bigger room. Yeah.
So
yeah.
let's continue to
And
fill
our
those seats, baby.
debilitating insecurity is a key part of our core identity. So no matter how big or small the room is,
That's a fact.
that's how we're going to feel about it.
And guess what? When we're back from San Diego, content never sleeps. It'll be Spider-Man time.
I
There's
gotta
a new
be honest.
Spider-Man movie. We just talked
I'm
about
excited.
a Tom Holland Zendaya movie, and we're back at it.
Yeah. I can't wait.
You know, I was talking to some of our colleagues over the weekend about who was having the biggest year, and they were like, "Oh, Robert Pattinson's having the biggest year." I was like, "No,
Yeah.
it's Zendaya's year.
Oh, of course. I mean, no question.
Zendaya's in everything that Robert Pattinson is in,
Yeah.
but with a bigger role, and she has Euphoria. So
Indeed.
something to think about.
Indeed.
I mean, so
Yeah.
you know,
Euphoria.
Yeah.
What a show.
it's a show.
Yeah.
It is a show. Okay. And she has Spider-Man, which is a movie that's coming out that we're very excited for.
I can't wait for Spidey.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
So if you want to follow our shambling corpses as we make our way through this, you can follow us on social at House of Harpod. That's on Instagram and TikTok, at Ringerverse on Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. You can email us, hobbiesanddragons@gmail.com. You can watch us to see just what shape we're in.
Yeah.
On YouTube or
right.
Spotify.
Full video episodes of House of R available for you to consume. Incredible stuff. Boy.
What a joy for you.
Do you think if we ask for heating pads to be just
built in?
Yeah, built into
like
the
a
set,
cooling floor?
They'll be visible on camera. Heating pads, cooling floors, all of it. Temperature control.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did send you, Carlos, and Arjuna recently a photo of a new release of a vest with double water bottle. No reply from any of you. I was like, you guys think I can pull this off? Crickets. I think I might have gotten a crying tears of joy emoji from Carlos, but crickets from everyone else.
When did you send that? I didn't see it.
A week and a half ago, maybe.
My apologies.
I sent you a lot of Instagram content.
On Instagram. Oh, okay.
No, I sent it via text.
Okay. Well, all right. Spoiler warning for today.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The Vampire Lestat, Queen of the Damned, no direct spoilers. We're not really doing a book spoiler section today.
Right.
There isn't a ton, I think,
Trying to find my chapstick in my pants, if anyone's wondering what's happening right now. Couldn't find it, but I got it.
We're leaving that in?
This is an all-timer. This is just an all-timer.
Are we leaving that in? Okay.
I defer to the team on the creative vision, for what they're cutting and what they're including.
I say leave the entire shit show in. Is it a failure? No.
That's right. It's all part of the creative experience and the catharsis experience.
We're trying.
That's exactly
And that's
right.
the message of this episode.
Yes.
So let's go now to our opening snapshot. Yeah, if you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, it's a Vampire Lestat episode and Joanna's not wearing the coat, I would die if I had to put that coat on. So we're just doing our best.
You gonna put the fangs in for the thumbnail photo still?
I might. We'll see.
Yeah.
Episode 7, The Failures. Directed by Alan Taylor.
Look at that.
Of Game of Thrones and Interview with the Vampire series premiere fame. He directed the series premiere, which is like still to this day one of my favorite episodes of television of Interview with the Vampire. Directed some famous episodes of Game of Thrones, with I would say mixed results personally.
Mm-hmm.
And House of the Dragon episode.
That's right.
And that Terminator movie.
That's right.
And some other things.
Yeah.
A Thor movie. Something to think about. Okay.
That's right.
Written by Hannah Moscovich.
A Thor movie. I mean.
The best one?
Some might say.
Okay. Only one person might say. You and Alan Taylor's mom are like, that's the best one. Okay.
God.
Now, Rubin, did you like this episode of television?
I'm a little mixed on the finale, I will say. I'm very high overall on the season, and the finale did not in any way dampen my enthusiasm for the season overall. I thought this was a really wonderful season of television, like incredibly entertaining and week to week, just enjoyable and fun and immersive and rich experience for fans of the character, fans of the show, fans of the relationships, fans of the genre, all of it. The finale itself, there's a lot in it that I liked, and I think that the part of the experience that we enjoy, which is very rooted in like introspection and reflection and the characters themselves interrogating where they are, how they have come to be there, and where they want to go from there, what step they want to take next with that ability to like look inward. This is an episode that is rooted almost entirely in that intention. And so I think that if it had been almost anywhere else in the season, I probably would have been like, this was dynamite. But because it's a finale, there is there's a little bit of a we got the cliffhanger and that's fun, and there's a propulsive element to that to carry this over into season 4, which I am obviously eagerly anticipating and hope we don't have to wait too long to get.
Right.
So I think the fact that we did not get the concert, for example, did not get whatever
Akasha appearance,
contemporary Akasha event is, and that is all waiting for us in the future. I think that a lot of the season felt like it was building toward those crescendos at the end of this season. The concert more so maybe than the Akasha stuff specifically. But so there's a little bit of that.
I don't know. I would say the Akasha stuff too. You know, it was just like heavily hinted at. I'm not upset about it. You can do whatever you want in your own finale, but it does give me at least a little of that House of the Dragon season 2 feeling. Yeah. Similar to the House of the Dragon season 2 finale, which a lot of people were like, hey, where are those battles you told us about? And it's not that I need like a big spectacle. It's just like when you have this sort of sense of like moving towards something.
Yes.
And then you get this sort of like sinking feeling halfway through the episode where you're like, oh, we're not getting that at all, are we? Yeah. Got it. Okay. That's fine. I can pivot. And I think as with the House of the Dragon season 2 finale, this episode had a couple emotional high marks that for me didn't like leave me walking away like upset about the episode.
For sure.
It didn't feel totally like a finale to me. Yeah. I like a swing, and this is like, we got a lot of like theater of the mind sort of like surreal dream logic stuff going on, which is fun. I will say what really saves the episode for me, what makes me so appreciative of it is the Armand stuff, like Assad Zaman's performance in the Louis Armand exchange. I did see a tweet last night, too late for me to feebly type it into our outline, but someone was like, wow, third season finale in a row where it's just like, it was Armand all along.
You know what? It's working. Honestly, the Armand stuff is consistently really strong.
Yeah. The performance is just so, like...
Yeah, it's mesmerizing.
I was just like leaning forward as he was both talking and also just as he was listening. And then the Paul appearance.
That was fantastic.
To bring back Louis's brother from, and there's a lot of moments in this episode that are bringing us back to season 1. Yes. But I think for Paul to show up, something I never would have expected. Like, I wouldn't have expected Antoinette to be in this episode. I wouldn't have expected the tenor to be in this episode, like all these other things. But like when Paul walks up along the stage in soft focus, and then you like sort of realize who it is. As soon as you realize who it is.
Yeah.
And then I just thought that exchange where Lestat doesn't even like look at him once. And that just like floored me. Yeah. I thought it was wonderful. So like those two things, and then there's other things to love, but like those two things especially, just absolutely nailing some emotional resonance for me, made me think fondly of this episode, even if I don't know that it's a wholly successful finale episode.
That's exactly how I feel. There was a lot on the emotional and thematic front that I really loved. If we had one more episode after this to like feel like we ended the season on that kind of note, that would be awesome. I think the only other thing that slightly diminished the episode for me, and this is, I'm happy to admit or concede, more of maybe a personal thing than any universal experience. I would say that this episode had what I would describe as for me, Tenet-esque sound mixing issue. It was really challenging and in a way that tips beyond like, this is an intentional choice that is conveying something and into just sensory overload that I was like actually kind of having a hard time.
I think sensory overload is a perfect way to put it. I had the exact same issue where like, all season, and as we've chronicled, like my issue with not having captions at all, like it's been like a real struggle for me to make sure I catch every single line. I go back and I go back and I go back. But usually, even if I'm not catching every single word, I can like follow the gist of what's happening in every single episode. That did not always happen for me here with a lot of overlapping conversation. So like on the one, it's so funny because I'm always sort of encouraging filmmakers and TV creators to like, don't dumb it down for your audience. Like, we can keep up. Like, don't make hold our hand. Attention. It's fine. Yeah, make us pay attention. And my note for this show might be like, slow it down a little for me, at least. I don't know. Maybe other people don't agree, but I have heard that a lot from people this season where like they're like, I couldn't follow what was going on sometimes, and it's like the zingy rapier wit and the quickness of the show is one of its like finest elements, but I think it tipped.
Yes.
A little too far, I think, especially in this episode,
I like when the honey of this show feels like it is unspooling from the tool in a way that I can catch every single drop of it in my mouth. And that was hard.
Oh my God.
That was hard, this finale.
What an incredible lyrical language. Wow. Are those just called what are those called?
I don't know, but I have been thinking that we should get one at
things.
Home because I've started to. Adam has been making me these just absolutely astonishingly delicious fresh fruit and yogurt bowls and putting a little honey on them for me, and they're wonderful. He's been using fresh cherries recently. It's just sensational. But I would say that his technique, just using a regular spoon, leaves a.
They're called dippers. That's very
dipper.
Very boring.
Let's work on it.
And disappointing.
Time for a rebrand.
I would like to hear if there's a more exotic name for it.
Honey dipper sounds like something that I, as a kid who ate a lot of French
Dunkaroo.
toast sticks and Dunkaroos, would have had in my lunchbox. Exactly. Exactly. And I love Dunkaroos.
Okay. Should we go now? Oh. I love that you're very hungry. I never want to eat again. So
I just have so much pain everywhere. Everything hurts.
Okay, so let's just go to the deep dive. I told our producers this was going to be like kind of a quick episode, and we always say that, and they never have a reason to believe us. I actually think it's true today. We're doing our best. Here we go. The long promised long table.
That's right.
So, we got a drop about the long table and eating souls in episode 3 from the Magnus car scene in a way that you and I were like, what is this? And like the only thing we could think of was the sort of like Leoncoeur like long table that we saw, but they had never sort of referred to it as the long table. But of course, in the opening credits, first of all, Lestat's decapitated head is in the opening credits in the animation there, but also this table sort of location hopping is in the opening credits. It's like outside, it's in this hall, it's in that. So like all the stuff that's here visually in the finale was there all along in the opening credits. What's fun. How much did, we mentioned that we both really enjoyed the Paul stuff, but in terms of like the other backwards looking, like, season 1 stuff is here. How did this work for you? What worked the best outside of the Paul stuff?
I think that, Paul certainly the most kind of like gobsmacking and intense appearance, certainly, including the intrigue of just Paul speaking to a figure we can't see.
Who is she?
And that was all like really cool and really good. I think the comedic highlight of this stretch for me was, Lestat, who has gone through this emotional crucible and has faced, not only his two makers, as he, correctly identifies, right, which was an interesting aspect of this, certainly, and I'll circle back to Gabriella in a second. Fledglings, Marius is here as well, Paul coming in, but then the audience in attendance of just the legions of people who he has harmed. So there's so much that is grim and intense, but it's the Vampire Lestat, right? And so we still have to have like the comedy of him saying, this is why you guys are the opening act and I'm the headliner, and getting up and walking across the table and kicking up the mic stand. So, and that's on the heels of just being like bound by anguish and screaming as he sits there and crying. And the beats for the performance from Sam Reed is so good all the time. As the timer is ticking down, and
the timer tone, by the way, is my timer tone, and so it like gave
it was
really
a little triggering. Yeah, same. It was a little triggering. I was like, "Is it time to wake up? Tomorrow already? Oh my god!" The shallow, short breath. I was like, "It me." I feel that, but there was something about the inability to discern. This is an inability to discern for the audience member in a good and satisfying way, right? How much of that is because he is being pulled out of the last gasp of life, right? And how much of it is because it has become almost unbearable to have to navigate the sea of his history. Thought that was all really interesting and really good. I think that the deployment of Gabriella in this stretch of these scenes at the long table, and we move from the long table is there, but we move from the setting, the context around it changes, all of these key locations in Lestat's life. I thought that the shift across the episode and the use of Gabriella was really smart, because initially, as all of the other figures, all of the other muses, fledglings, are quite critical and severe.
She's supportive.
She's defending him, right? And so you are put in this position where you understand kind of the pull that she has on Lestat, that this is her game. This is the game she plays. This is the manipulation. Well, I will be there to tell you, lover, right, that you're special. Van Gogh only sold one painting in his life. That was an incredible line. And then it's actually when she flirts with the singer that something kind of pivots, the jealousy kicks back in, that reminder for Lestat that she is working everybody, including him, all the time. They're all pawns for her. They're all putty in her hands. And then, of course, we shift into Gabriella being the primary target just in that character set before we go back to the real world and have to kind of and then it's her again, actually, right? In a different way because of the context of the concert. Why did you take me to this witch burning when I was a kid, right? And we'll talk about that more in a second. Then when he wakes from the coffin, he's like, you're going to send me back out there? The level and degree to be torn apart, the level and degree to which he is a tool for her to use, a scalpel, to go back to that premiere language from the beginning of the season, for her to wield and cut with as she intends and decides.
Did you train as a doctor?
I did not.
Oh.
I did not.
Oh, your technique, your scalpel technique.
Yeah, perhaps if I had trained as a doctor, I'd be feeling better right now. So, no, yeah, I know. It's amazing watching me do this, that I did not go to med school and have not yet been asked to guest as an extra on season 3 of The Pit. I am available.
Okay.
So yeah, I think what this did for the penultimate episode was such a tour de force for Louis and Lestat and their relationship, and this was, I thought, a very important showcase for and a successful one for the Gabriella Lestat relationship at the end of the season.
I think to put Magnus and Gabriella in the same bucket as sort of like these makers in terms of like Lestat's monstrosity, right? So like if Magnus turned him into a vampire and all of the carnage and all of everything that comes off of that is that sort of like original sin to a certain degree.
Yeah.
What are the ways in which Gabriella planted the seeds even earlier of monstrosity inside of Lestat or monstrosity or trauma or however you decide to clarify it. The witch burning, I think, is really, really interesting. This is an adaptive change that it's like and we talked about this early in the season, but it's adaptive change that it was like Gabriella who took him. This is the origin of the stutter, which is again an adaptive change. Mm-hmm. This is like an original traumatic inciting incident for him, and for her to defend it as like, I was trying to inspire you to leave,
right?
And you didn't leave until you were 30 anyway.
Cabbage,
blah blah blah. But like for her to justify taking her small child to this horrific thing, to see children who he played with burnt, and for her to sort of justify it and her resentment. So they're inside of the sort of like, I did this for you, that justification, right? I did this to inspire you to leave.
Yeah.
There's also the resentment of, and you didn't until late. There's the judgment and the resentment of just sort of like, you have freedom to move in this world as a man that I've never had.
Right.
And I gave you all this opportunity and I gave you all this motivation, and this is what you've done with it, is crippling. And I think her flip, it's been here all season, and we've been deeply uncomfortable, obviously, with her all season, but I think it's been hard for maybe book readers or people who sort of taking the book into account to sort of like fully understand how much of a villain she is in the show, because that's not necessarily her role in the book. And
right.
So I think there's no question at the end of this episode when you have Lestat just like screaming at her, the switch is flipped for him.
Yeah.
In terms of like his eyes, his eyes are open. I love you. That like sort of manipulative memory, all of that sort of stuff. The way in which he was like groomed and manipulated and all these things and abused.
Yes.
And so for her to be an interchangeable seat with Magnus inside of this episode, I thought was really smart and really interesting.
I think I agree. I think especially the proximity of Lestat saying to Magnus, I refused, right? And we had talked about this, and it was very clear because we glimpsed the horror of that assault. It was apparent what that was, even though Lestat was not conceding that, nor does he owe that concession to anybody, right? To the documentary crew, to Daniel in the present day timeline. But to hear him shout that here and then to go to the Gabriella sequences, the idea of, like you said, the original sin is a perfect way to put it, and the fact that that's twinned for him across these figures. And then you think, we talked about like earlier in the season without fully understanding at the time how the long table would pay off, the kind of really the smart intentional warping of a domestic setting, right? Of something that like in plenty of families are sources of turmoil and trauma and pain for people, but something that never provided Lestat with home, comfort, peace, escape, reprieve. It was always the root and source of the rift. And so then you hear him say like at the witch burning, even the Marquis didn't come to this.
Yeah.
That's how fucked up this is.
Yeah. Dad didn't even come.
Yeah. Right. And so it's all undeniable. It all reaches an undeniable point. And like, it's hard to achieve this balance. We, talked last week about this. It's different. The particulars are different, so I don't want to lump them together, but talked about how effectively episode 6 kind of made us feel complicit as a viewing member. We would think back to watching Louis hold Claudia's diary and recite it without needing to look and think, wow, oh my God. Right. And then Claudia,
she's like, oh,
summoned forth. Yeah. It was like, that's like not your experience, and that wasn't for you. A different version of it here, but the way that the show is simultaneously parsing the trauma and deepening our sense of understanding for how the characters have come to this place. And for many of them, obviously for Lestat and Louis, who are flawed, but we have such a depth of empathy and devotion and love for them and understanding even when they do terrible things. But then, we do have something like this episode. We see this this atrocity that Gabriella exposes him to. But then we are reminded both in flashbacks and also through the characters, through Louis at that table saying, called it tough love then, showing us Lestat doing it to Claudia.
Yeah.
And that, of course, is a powerful commentary, too, on the cycle of abuse and how hard it is to escape that. And so it makes it all the more important for, I think, this finale to have Lestat, a character who simultaneously parades this, like, bravado and this sense of superiority, but is crippled constantly by his own doubt and shame and guilt, stare that in the face. And, like, I think just there are very few shows that could manage to walk that tightrope as effectively as this one has.
And I think to connect that over to the B plot, which is Louis and Armand in the butcher back room, and sort of the grace that Louis is giving Armand of like, you were so young when these horrible things happened to you. So like the fact that you have visited these horrors on other people, I understand where that comes from. And it comes from you as a 12-year-old boy, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll come back to that in a second. But before we leave the long table, I want to say a couple other things. In terms of like this surreal taking place inside the mind, sort of let's pick and choose from iconography from the rest of the series. I thought it was really fun. I think it's really fun to have Antoinette on the keys, on the typewriter. I think bringing back the tenor and having that sort of like marking the sheet music with the bloody fingerprint callback to season 1. Great. I thought that was really fun. So there's a lot of fun like imagery and rich detail that's reminding. But like it's interesting because I wrote this in the notes. A treat that I saved for myself on Friday was we had a long week last week too. And the treat I saved for myself on Friday was the Heartstopper movie, which is like acts as the series finale for Heartstopper.
I haven't watched yet. I'm
not no spoilers or whatever. I'm not gonna like, spoil it for you, obviously. But it's like the end of a thing. And so there's a lot of like, let's look back at all this time we spent with these characters. And there's just like always an impulse to do that of like, let's remind you of when you first fell in love with this show and what it meant to you and stuff like that. And sometimes that can tip over into like way too much. And so I'm curious. I'm still pressing how I feel about like bringing Paul back and bringing Antoinette back and having Alan Taylor direct and, blah, blah. It's just sort of like, remember the beginning of the show and how much you loved that. And like, yes, I do. And I don't think it tipped over into too much inside of this. I think it was a really good use of it, especially since we weren't inside of Lestat's mind for that story. It was Louis' story for those 2 seasons. It was Louis' point of view. So, I mean, I guess to skip ahead, but just to say, like, to have Paul show up, one of the reasons it really rocked me was we never understood that Lestat had any sense of guilt or complicity or anything in Paul's death. Did he kill Paul? No. Did he mess with Paul's mind at a dinner shortly before Paul, like, jumped off the roof? Yes.
Right.
So, in his sort of like, I'm the headliner speech, he's like, you're all here because I like murdered you or seriously like fucked you up. Right. And so like that he's carrying guilt around Paul is new information for us and a real sort of showstopper for me. And so it doesn't feel like cheap nostalgia. Remember when, the show was new. It feels like, hey, let's look at Antoinette again from Lestat's point of view. Antoinette was important enough to Lestat, and he made a comment about this earlier in the season, but it was important enough to him that she's at the long table with a very small group of people. Antoinette is there. She was important in some way, and like Louis' telling of her diminishes her, right? And so all of these things are here to get a slightly different angle on them.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. This is a season, and in many ways a series, but a season devoted to the examination of memory and narrative and self-mythologizing, right? And so and attempting to counteract the narrative that somebody else has put into the world about you, and kind of reckoning with the fact that that can be an attempt to achieve some sort of truthful equilibrium, or that it can be the opposite. It can be a lie of another form, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's hard actually to think of too many other examples of where it would feel so totally appropriate for that many glimpses of either visually or called upon in the discussion between the characters, moments from the past, because that's what this entire season has been about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reflecting and shaping and thinking about how the self, but also then society around you, however intimate or wide that circle becomes. Is it your band? Is it your lover? Is it your mother? Is it the great conversion and everybody showing up for your concert? Is it the people roasting you on stereo?
Yeah.
It's all the answer is like all of the above and more, right? The idea that you lose the ability at some point to control what other people think of you, and then maybe even understand your own life. Like, boy, isn't that just the human experience in the modern age? And hasn't it always been to some extent, which is also why traveling through time, I find that really interesting, because like the idea of a season where Lestat is rock star, modern age, everyone's got their phone in their hand, right? And it's like, what's the trending topic? And that is a very like instantly understandable thing for us, the modern viewer.
Mm.
But what was the version of that 200 years ago? Like, I think the season has done a really incredible job of parsing that, what changes over time and what doesn't, how quickly, even if something maybe has changed for you, you have progressed or you pulled back into that prior state. If the person who did that to you the first time is suddenly there, it's, that stuff is wonderful. And again, I think that's why we're both like, of course, we love the fact that this episode drenches itself in those questions and seeks to kind of find some answers, while I think also saying the answer is like, you can, like you said at the beginning, you can try to know thyself, try to be a little bit better, but there's always like more work to do. Some of that is achieved not just with what's present here, but what's absent. I thought the choice to not have Claudia at that table was brilliant. Right. It's like one of the best choices they made all season, because
she said what she had to say.
Yeah. What else could you do?
And I mean,
after the seance,
something that we've not really nailed down, I would say, is that we don't know if this is a true afterlife or just neurons firing inside of, like, vampire neurons firing inside of Lestat's head. So either in an afterlife sort of space or in a limbo sort of space,
yes,
a trial of a kind, Claudia has opted not to show up. The real Claudia has opted not to show up. Or in Lestat's dying mind, Claudia would not show up for this.
Right. And either way, it's interesting.
Either way, it's interesting. Yeah. The vampire tough cookie is here.
Iconic showing once again.
Love her.
I would watch a tough cookie spinoff.
Never
Let me get it on the record.
A bad frame with her. When they're in the bus at the end and she's just like, hey.
Yeah. Like, so good.
Hey.
Yeah. She was also really chowing down on the various courses of the soul. Also the soul. Yeah. Every time, we get the new course number. The courses are ticking up, but it's always the soul.
Yeah.
She was really chowing down. I feel like we can go from soul eater to sin eater pretty quickly for TC. She's ready to report for duty.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Listen, here's my question though.
Mm-hmm.
If Gabriella made Alex, which is our understanding.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
And Lestat made Tough Cookie.
Which was a reveal. Yeah.
Who made the vampire salamander?
I guess we should assume the answer is Sam. Because there were 3 there to make new vampires.
Sam and Salamander as... Ooh, I would watch that spinoff too.
They would get up to some stuff. They would get up
Great answer.
to some stuff.
Great answer. I also just want to shout out, so Claudia's absence is amazing. I think Louis' demeanor too. Jake Anderson talked about in the after episode about how fun it was for him to be back, and he calls it his raspberry suit from season 1. He's like, it's a really comfy suit. I love that suit. But to have season 1 Louis there, to watch Jacob Anderson play Lestat's version of season 1 Louis versus, decapitated Louis, and to watch these very different demeanors, I thought was really, really fun. It was also, he was like, I rewound a couple times to watch how they all delivered the soul when they did it. Jacob Anderson was just like thought it was like really silly and fun. He was just like, the soul. Like he was really doing it. It was really funny. And then before we leave this, I just want to say in terms of the witch scene, this episode, I was expecting us to have a full concert. I was expecting us to get like new songs or whatever. But we got some Daniel Hart score stuff that was just like out of control. And the witch burning stuff, I thought it was especially insanely good Daniel Hart score work. Just stunning.
Stunning.
An awful time with Louis and Armand.
Boy, I mean, what a time for us and chopped up bodies.
Awful is spelled O-F-F-A-L.
No.
Because that's a pun. Because that's what you call brains when you eat them. Okay. How'd you feel about Jacob Anderson's decapitated head acting?
It was very amusing to hear him discuss
how he had to like be super still
having to do it. I thought these scenes were really good. Like you said, the Armand part of it is just so sensational. The switch to the telepathic communication, and so we're hearing exactly what Louis is saying, and the capacity to tap into. I think the question of the dire straits and how much of what Louis is saying is last gasp desperation to try to reach Armand so that Louis's head can maybe be returned to his body instead of Regina's, and he can find a way to get out of there. Like, how much of this is a practical effort to survive, and how much of it is in the moment of confronting the end of his life, an ability to really actually find that grace, right? And share something with Armand, who
I think I interpreted it as the latter, but
I did too, ultimately, because the performance is, I think, so earnest and empathetic and sincere. Like the depth of emotion in Louis's voice as he's saying these things. I guess there could be a little bit of a why not both to it.
Sure.
But I think the fact that like we had the more kind of the tone was very different last week, but we had the version of it where Lestat, after Louis finds out about Lestat and Gabriella, it's like, you're being very judgy, right? And then Louis finds a way to like work toward a position of asking questions and trying to understand. Again, very different. I mean, Armand opens this sequence by revealing to Louis, hey, you thought you knew all the things that I was secretly responsible for? I've got a few more to share, bud.
Guess what? There are further depths to plumb with AI. It's bad.
Exactly. Found some candidates for Claudia lookalikes, but why go with the 7 or the 8? We've got a perfect one right here. The list of horrors just continues to mount. The indignity of the fact that Armand has Farid there to, we get a call back to the Budapest mention of the studies being conducted on the decapitated heads from earlier in the season. This is being live streamed.
Was Dr. Farid always?
He always is analyzing and studying, and to think just in general about the fact that they're always under the microscope and under the lens in some capacity is obviously very interesting. So there's
the long arm of the Telemasca.
Indeed. There's no reason, ultimately, other than the capacity that these characters who do and have been on the other end of so many atrocities and so many terrible things, to like find some kernel of connection to tap into. And so what Louis said to Armand was just so heart-wrenching and beautiful, and obviously reached Armand and allowed his humanity and the aspect of the soul. This episode is about the soul, so we can think back to
soul.
Lestat saying to Armand when Armand showed up to talk to Lestat, to read his amends to Lestat on the tour bus, you don't have a soul. But like, he does still. And for Louis to reach it for a second was quite potent.
Did you laugh when you heard Armand doing his 12 steps again?
Yeah.
But this time to Louis' decapitated head.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
Really good.
Couple things. So the threat to head swap to like sew one head on a different body, that's sort of slightly lifted from the Vampire Armand book, 1998, in different circumstances.
So this is his signature move?
I don't think they're going to do that thing that is revealed in that book. So I think they're just sort of like using it. But I thought that was interesting. And also interesting that Armand doesn't give a shit about the great conversion. We thought he was here to, make sure the rules were abided by, but instead he's just like, nope, petty revenge.
Really like elite villain moment on that front specifically when Armand was like, what, Nelson, okay, he's one of my new followers, got 100 or so. He thinks he's here to help me stop the great conversion. I needed him to stuff your head in a cooler and drive me here. Yeah. That is a degree of savagery, but just disregard, right? Disregard for any other life that is so clarifying on the Armand front. Really, really good. And then the rest bit, which not only does Nelson hear that and kills himself, it primes us to feel very anxious about Armand issuing the rest command to Regina. But it takes us back to Daniel, to our favorite episode of season 2, and I guess of the series to date, telling Daniel, wouldn't it be nice to rest, right? And like knowing that this was when
I got chills.
Yeah.
Well, and he said, he said a similar thing to Larry, right? Like this is his move.
Exactly.
Right.
It's horrifying.
On the confession apology front.
Yes.
So what he says to Armand, what Louis says to Armand, you at 12, you were 12, scared, poor boy Arun, you need a love that'll cradle you, right?
Yes.
And so in season 2, when we're at the Louvre, on a romantic date at the Louvre, when Armand is sharing his like backstory with Louis and Ghost Lestat is also there. This is what he says, right? He was rescued from a brothel when he was 15, named Arun then. I think I cannot be sure. The abuse in the brothel is such that he cannot be sure that this is what his parents named him, the parents that sent him to work on a merchant boat in Delhi, when in actuality they'd sold him into slavery. My maker's purchase, his renaming me, his reluctance in sharing the gift, knowing what it will do to his beloved Amadeo. I served him with all my heart, basked in his mercy, his worshipful mercy. Still, Amadeo had a skill. And if a friend wandered into town, I was occasionally donated. Just like we've met Marius finally in this season. And to go back and think about Marius and what he did in rescuing Armand, but then also abusing Armand at the same time. And so this is just like a story told over and over again about these makers and these vampires and these fledglings. Like what did Louis and Lestat do in rescuing Claudia? They rescued her. That's what Louis was telling himself. But like, is that how Claudia sees it now in the afterlife? At the end of the day. So I thought this was amazing. I thought the part where he's repeating, what Louis is saying, he's repeating it, giving different intonation to certain words, which I thought was like incredible acting. Just thinking about Asad as an actor looking at this script and thinking what is Louis going to emphasize and what words do Armand think are the most important inside of these sentences. So like the different inflection and how certain lines come across. And then just on his face, a lot of great just sort of like vampire eyes filling up with bloody tears stuff this season, but just like the camera on his face as he's absorbing Louis telling him that he couldn't love him the way that he needed to be loved, which echoes, you needed a love that would cradle you, and I couldn't give that to you. Right. Taking and again to think about the two Louis inside of this episode, Lestat's Louis versus Armand's Louis, and like what Armand has said this season about sort of the version of Louis that Daniel has written about that we have been absorbing. He's like, that's not the Louis I know.
Methodically cruel.
I know a much crueler Louis. So for that version of Louis, the crueler Louis, to apologize to Armand is I thought really interesting.
I agree. I think you need a love that'll cradle you. You should have that. And I was never that for you. Building toward Paul saying to Lestat, thank you for loving him, loving him the way he needs to be loved about Louis was gorgeous and
made me think of House of the Dragon too. The point that you keep raising about like, are you giving your followers what they need?
Yeah, and like we've had calls across a number of the stories that we covered to talk about this, and like some of it is a very personal thing, and some of it is like, what do you owe to another person and what do you owe to yourself, and what is like right to demand of another person, or to, to know that you need, is a person able to give that to you? I think that the recognition Louis has here that he was maybe not giving Armand the thing that could have perhaps allowed him being Armand, to chart a different course is a version of the same like reflection and introspection and desire to improve and grow that we're talking about. It's also, and we are, obviously totally in the bag for Lestat and Louis, but it's like also fair to say, and this episode reminds us tonally in interesting ways, like you got to be 100 feet up in the air for that to stick. Hardly the case that the Lestat-Louis relationship was always perfect, right? And so there is, I think that the episode in the series, it's asking a lot of intense and hard questions that don't have simple answers. I don't think the show is in any way implying that the answers are simple. It's like embracing the mess, right? I think saying that in some ways the mess is undeniable, and the question is whether you're going to be able to to navigate it and to find people who can help you navigate it, right? Who are willing to try to help you navigate it. The fact that Louis says this thing to Armand, and then Armand decides to spare him, decides to let Regina go. Okay, good. The last thing he does, though, is brand Louis.
Yeah, I have questions about vampire anatomy as to whether or not that scar would stick, but it seems like it probably will.
Yeah.
So to put an A on his chest, like Armand was here.
Yeah.
Tough. It'll at least be there for a while because their neck scars, Lestat and Louis still have their sort of like neck scars. I don't know like how much that wound will heal at the end of the day. I thought it was interesting that Louis and Lestat both have these like scars on their chests now.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. It's your boy, Daniel Molloy. I don't have a ton to say about this. I will just say I think where this season has faltered the most in my eyes is the Daniel Armand stuff. Because my sense, and I could be wrong, but my sense is that there's like just a little bit of shorthand they used here of like, they know there's a strong fandom for these two inside of the book reader community. And so I'm not convinced they did all the work they needed to do outside of that fandom, outside of people who aren't familiar with these characters in the books, to make this connection, this duo make as much sense as I think it should make. And Daniel in the last couple episodes, I just don't know, like he's still kind of fun.
Right.
But I don't know. It just has not worked for me the way that I think the show wants it to work for me.
Yeah. And if I think consider it both in the vacuum of their relationship, but then also in the connected universe of all these other relationships, because the relationships kind of definitionally can't exist in vacuums, then it's interesting to think of that like, you need a love that cradles you. And it's like, well, what is the relationship that Armand and Daniel have so far of what we've seen in the show? I don't have that additional book context, right? So what I see in the show is jealousy and rage and a need to put that somewhere.
Well, and what's so interesting is like that's the foundation of the Louis Armand relationship, because like how much is the Louis and Armand stuff about spiting Lestat, from in the first place?
Yeah.
And so how much is the Armand and Daniel stuff about spiting Lestat?
Yeah.
Almost entirely. And so
right. And so is that the love they need? Is it the love that allows them to pursue some course of vengeance right now? Is there a connection? Obviously, there's the connection of maker and fledgling, right? There's the connection
of dad.
Of dad. There's the connection of all of the truths that were pulled or repressed or obscured over the years. But yeah, it's like hard for me to say in the back half of the season that I felt undeniable like need from the two of them to be with each other, and more that they were like working on a quest together.
Yeah, I'm just not sure it's working yet. I'm not saying it won't work, but it's not really working yet.
I did like seeing Alex using the name Boo Radley as his bowling name up on the screen. Yeah, that was good. While he was bowling a clean sheet of zeros.
Dime store Dracula, Alex. I mean, the Talamasca, whatever. They're here. They're pro Great Conversion. It was them all along. Make more. It seems to be, the explanation seems to be it's global warming connected. But I just would just say, I just don't know that we should ever trust anything that Raglan says about anything, is how I feel about that.
So, okay, I'm trying to wrap my mind around this. So I was looking back at the beginning, what Lestat said, especially because he calls upon the line here of like, what did I say? Oh, that I made a contribution. Let me take that back. The fault was all mine. I'm
the very end.
To the Lestat, what Lestat says at the end. So in the beginning of the season, he said, I'm not saying that the attempted extinction of the Y chromosome across the continent was all my fault. Okay, but then we don't know, is that Akasha driven?
I mean,
Talamasca driven?
I have answers for that, but I don't think I can say them outside.
Yeah, so that's on my mind is like,
yeah.
Okay, on the Talamasca front specifically, based on what Raglan shares here, may the vamps safely graze. Congrats, you beat peak oil. It's a tipping point. Is it pro-great conversion or is it pro-great conversion in order to amass the vampires and then easily kill them?
Oh, I thought it was pro-great conversion to
cut down on the number of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
As population control.
For sure. Population.
The
Range Rover.
Yeah.
So that's there for sure. But does that mean they're going to just let the vamps run free in perpetuity? I mean, don't think you guys would be very good in government, right? So I'm like, maybe it's let the vamps swell the ranks, cut down on the human population.
And then kill all the vampires.
And then kill all the vampires. So maybe that's why he's still in favor of the concert going off, because then there's still a way to like...
They're all there.
Take them all out.
But the conversion is like, what is the message that's supposed to come from the concert?
Make more. He was really proud of that lyric.
He was.
You did it, Raglan.
I would say not the best lyric I heard this season. All right. One Night Only at Nicki's Tavern.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, I mean, great stuff when Lestat takes control of the wheel of the story and he's just sort of like, enough cowering. It's amazing. Me, front man Lestat. The Salamander, TC, and Alex, no Larry, are musically vamping the whole time that he's up there. It's the chords, it's the butterscotch bitch chords. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say, this just makes fantastic, like, vamp music. Just sort of like the dun, 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 dun. Like, it's just like really good backing, propulsive sort of music for all of this. Anything else? I mean, we've already talked a lot about Paul showing up here. He has a hard time saying it. Got that from our daddy. Doesn't mean he doesn't. It's just his way. Thank you for loving him the way he needs to be loved. I still wish you were a woman. Sometimes so do I, right? And then about the afterlife, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not all that once you get there. And then Lestat says, silver thread stretched over other threads, seemingly like looking up at this sort of like the show spared itself the budget of having to show it to us, but like this light event that's happening up above. And we talked about this idea of like the silver thread when we were analyzing. I didn't know it was going to come up the finale because we did not have this screener. But I'm glad we talked about it because we talked about it. We were talking about the lyrics for Brutal Love.
Yes.
Which mentioned a thread, pulling on a thread, a restless hand on a thread, I think. So this idea of the sacred core concept inside of the world of vampires, this silver sort of like thread umbilical cord that connects all of vampires to each other. So I just love that shows up here. That's very like vampire lore stuff that could come up in even more so in next season. And then Roland saying in the after episode, you weren't a failure because somebody loved you.
Yeah.
I thought that was beautiful.
Really great. I think that the Lestat still kind of floundering but working towards some accountability here at the end felt important and satisfying to see. You know, we have a few different beats, right? Gabriella's heckling him as a failure, and he says, I don't agree. In the end, I think I was pretty fucking great, but he can barely choke the words out.
The way Sam delivered that.
It's so fantastic, just really wonderful. If I failed, that means I actually attempted something, which is more than I can say for most of those I loved most. Oh, I don't know if I mean that. That was performative. I loved you. I did. As grotesque as that love may have appeared to you, I did. And then, you know, as he's continuing to fade, my blood, I did my best with it. No. I let too much spill too often. I did not always honor it. Like, that's progress. It is progress. That doesn't mean that Lestat is not a character who will backslide again. That feels like the character.
Well, whatever's about to happen that he says it's all my fault.
Yeah.
You know, further clarity, I guess, when he's recording the failures. But that's he's about to do something that is terrible. This yes ma'am moment. Okay, I want to talk to you about that. Yeah. I think I've told you about this, but the Dishwalla song Counting Blue Cars, right? Which has the lyric, tell me all your thoughts on God. because I really want to meet her. My best friend Diana and I, like, whenever that song comes on when we're in the car or whatever, we always envision this guy as like this guy with an acoustic guitar. And he's really trying to impress a girl.
Yeah.
And he's like, tell me all your thoughts on God, because I really want to meet her. You know, and just like, look, God's a woman in my song. So that's how we always sing it. I got a voice memo from Diana last night being like, I watched the Lestat finale. Tell me all, like, so like, is God a woman inside of this universe? Is God Alanis Morissette? Is that what's happening here? Right. Is it Anne Rice, the great author of all of this, the great architect of all of this? You know, is that what that's an allusion to? Because, like, presumably, we're talking to a deity, whoever's in charge of who gets more time. Oh, you sure?
Right.
Really? Okay. More time. You know, reset the clock. More time. Or, I don't know, is it Momager extraordinaire Gabriella, who's just sort of like...
Is it Akasha?
You know,
is it someone in the universe who has the ability to pull some strings to puppeteer?
Queens abound. Okay, so God, Alanis Morissette, Anne Rice, Akasha, Gabriella.
All gods in
all
fashion.
Gods in their own right. Great. Okay, the aftermath.
Yes.
So somehow Lestat got a costume change. Who did that? Probably Gabriella. Put him in his coffin and put him in a new outfit.
Yeah.
We get the info that Lestat and Raglan in whenever we're recording the failures in the future are now friends. I think this is the quote. The shoe leather of how I got there was explained to me by a man I did not recognize, but who I now call a friend. Unless, you know, end quote. So unless there's a sneaky double meaning that I'm missing, which is always possible. I think they're always kind of trying to do some sneaky language.
What was your interpretation of, because Raglan is there for the head at the bowling alley, you know, says Farid is waiting for the butcher shop. What was your interpretation?
Rashid.
Yes. What was your interpretation of Daniel flashing the fangs? Was it that because we have missing information about what transpires, how the heads get back to the body? Was your interpretation of Daniel flashing the fangs at Raglan, I'm not going to make this easy for you, like we're enemies now, or that a fight actually
I don't think there was an actual fight
there, because there's also the line about like Alex's role in all this is a mystery.
Alex's role in
Feels
this
like
is
we're
all a
missing
mystery.
information about exactly what happened.
The Alex mystery is really interesting. Well, like, was Alex working for the Telemasca? You know, he's like, we had an agent there. Like, we thought Alex was working for Armand, which maybe he was, but was he working for the Telemasca? Like, what is his role in all of this? I don't know. Is it connected to the fact that Gabrielle is his maker? Is that connected in somehow? I don't know. My interpretation of Daniel flashing his fangs was like, this isn't over.
Yeah, okay.
Not that they had a fight right then and there, but maybe they did in the bowling alley. But more like, I'm a vampire and I'll remember this.
Yeah.
Okay. You have me outnumbered right now, but I'll remember this.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my take, but who knows? The desperate silent, we don't get to hear it, but we can hear it anyway. Where's Louis?
Wonderful
from
stuff.
Lestat.
Yeah.
And then just sort of like, as we mentioned, we alluded to earlier, the episode-long repetition of could be, hands touch, like this idea of just sort of like going back to them on the bench. This is what Hannah said. Our listener Hannah wrote in to say, listening to The Loneliness, which is a song from earlier in the season, it hit me. The lyrics have Lestat repeatedly ask himself, or literally having his loneliness say to him, how could anybody ever love you? And it was haunting me already, even before this, that through this effort of his psyche and his trauma to destroy his sense of self and consume him, what he keeps returning to is, could be nice, could be. And Louis touching a pinky to his and an echo of the touch he shared with Louis when he first told Louis about his fear of loneliness. The simplicity of those statements, could be nice, could be, is so stark. There's no extravagant poetry there, just the softest, quietest, most intimate longing, the dream of a future together, the possibility of Louis maybe loving him. And that tiny touch is a bulwark against the loneliness, those quiet, simple statements that contain the possibility of love in so few words. The answer to how could anybody ever love you is maybe Louis could. And that is a silver thread that Lestat hangs on to stay tethered to some sense of himself, to once again get back up.
Love that.
Hannah.
Beautiful.
Poetry.
Beautiful. Paul there to talk to Lestat and what might be his final moments about Lestat's love with Louis and Louis loving Lestat. Louis, the pen and the paper in his decapitated body's hands, writing about Lestat, saying to Armand, and I love that moment. He was like, I'm sorry. Like, even at the end here now, I'm thinking of him.
It's hard not to. And then just the way that they sort of like the way that Louis is there on the bus and the way that they just sort of like curl around each other and like touch each other, the scars on each other's necks and stuff like that, throats. I just thought that was wonderful. And then we get this showdown between Lestat and Gabriella, this like full pushback that maybe we've been waiting for.
Trauma bond.
You're listening to The Failures, album 58, side A is what we get. There are still 53 albums of The Failures to go. So I suppose we'll see you in season 4 for that.
Yeah.
We get a decimated world.
Yes.
A reveal.
Yeah.
She is the answer, graffiti on the sidewalk there. But yeah, the world has been destroyed thanks to something that Lestat has done, the concert.
Just a shattered building, sirens in the air. I like the beat right before that. Have I failed at auction? These reels returned to me unsold. Am I talking to myself? First of all, fun little dancing with myself. Pay off the season, but we still don't know, right? Like all of the details. Yeah. And so like that's maybe that is the answer.
But yeah, we do have a timeline of like when these were recorded. A bit more of a timeline, but not a full concrete timeline. All right. Before we go, so the last thing I want to do is some sort of like quick season superlatives, just to like end on a celebratory note of a season that we did quite enjoy.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say before we get to that?
How long do you think it'll be till season 4? Is this like a 2 years between seasons?
So it's July. I do. I think like earliest would be early 2028. But maybe not that much because they don't have to like write like all those songs, which I don't know how much time that took in all of this, but like 2028. But then I'm curious about the budget because like, so this is going to be a Queen of the Damned season. It's an Akasha season.
Right.
I don't think it's a spoiler to say there should be some Akasha flashbacks, which could look really cheesy if not given the full budget.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could look like that sort of like Michael Jackson Nefertiti music video, which I just like do not think we should do.
Wow.
So I want as much budget and time and thought as possible into the Akasha flashbacks would be my hope.
I mean, maybe we'll get an answer as soon as Comic-Con. There's a Lestat panel.
There is.
I can't wait.
Did you see
Great
that? So last year at Comic-Con, the Vampire Lestat, like that was like a huge, like on the side of a building wrapper. Have you seen the Hot Sauron building wrapper that's already up in San Diego?
No. I can't wait though. Does it also have like a I'll cream for you thing like the Lestat one did when the letter of Scream was, remember?
I'll forge your one ring.
That's incredible.
I'll make you cream.
I mean, you know, these ideas are here for free, folks.
Oh, wow. A very specially placed palm tree. All right, San Diego. Okay, let's go down to our quick season superlatives. All right, best song of the season.
This is a tie for me, but they're both from episode 6. It's a tie between Stained Glass Eyes and Brutal Love, both of which were extraordinary. I guess I give the edge to Brutal Love because of the performance of Lestat singing.
Stained Glass Eyes 5, right?
I can't remember.
Yeah, we did them together.
We did them together. Yeah. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Yes. So I'm saying to the same episode because of the same podcast that we talked about them on.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are a tie for me. I think Brutal Love just edges it out because watching Louis and Lestat and then watching Gabriella watch them was like a transcendent level of
it has to be Brutal Love for me, I think.
Yeah.
Though I did go back and re-watch Loneliness after I read Hannah's email, and that song is really good. Also, the chorus of Butterscotch Bitch are so good. Like, this is Smugglepalooza for me. Like, I just think there are a lot of great.
Okay, let me put it to you this way.
Yeah,
this
I can only give
test
3 Oscars.
Yeah, how's it feel? Which one is going to top your Spotify Wrapped? Like, which one will you actually listen to the most?
It's going to be hard for them to catch up to Long Face, which is the only one I had for so long.
Right.
Long Face, the one that the one you wash cars to, I guess. Like,
that was so funny. Maybe that's my contribution.
Really fucking tough.
Or clean cars.
All right. But I think it's Brutal Love. That performance.
That's great.
And I saw a great tweet. You know the Euphoria meme, is this fucking play about us?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Someone took that and they were like, Gabriella during Brutal Love, is this fucking play not about me?
Incredible. I mean,
All right.
Love it.
Funniest line. This is hard to pick. It's been a really funny season. I will just say, I'm going to say the line that I actually repeat in my own head almost on a daily basis.
All right. What is it?
And it's just every time I go to Reddit, I said, more red meat for Reddit.
Reddit is really tough
more
not
red
to
meat
pick.
for Reddit is like a Pavlovian response to me clicking on Reddit now. So that's might be the lasting legacy of this season for me.
That's a great pick. All right, I'll do really rapid fire 5 other nominees.
Please.
This was hard to pick. Okay, so a bunch of them came from the second episode, which is interesting. Tough Cookies. You guys play baseball like in Twilight. Iconic. Really good. You said it was a deer, as in DEAR, as any KFC night manager has a right to be. And then, of course, the boardroom sequence. Yeah. I bet, very specific detail to pluck out of thin air. That was... Maybe it's more about the performance and the line itself, but that's the hardest I laughed all season. This, as I said at the time, this Daniel moment from the third episode killed me. You have a song, Long Face. The lyrics are, ooh, 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 wah, wah, ooh, 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 wah, wah. What's the story behind that? You've got to have a sense of humor about this stuff. And it's like just the show really knows when to. And then, as we talked about last week, and this is actually my pick for just the line, the funniest line from the 6th episode. Lestat and Louis talking about Daniel. He's an awkward vamp. He has that, you think you're better than me chip on him? And we are. It's exhausting to pretend otherwise. Killed me. Incredible.
Oh, it's Travis and Taylor. All right. Best outfit of the season.
So this was hard because the fits are elite. I mean, we could just pick the bloody pre-com pants.
I thought you might. In fact, I thought you might.
If
I had to put money on it, I would say the chartreuse pants with the bloody cum.
I mean, that probably is the pick. In an effort to not be so painfully predictable and entirely on brand, I do like in Toledo, the Lestat is wearing the big, wolfy pelt coat as he and Gabriella are hunting prey. And when it falls off his shoulder and he's in the black tank top underneath, that's iconic. And then I think Louis' modern fashion in the I'm going to Brick and Bacon time and time again to just spend some time with Regina. Like the sky blue polo with the pinstripe pants. I mean, he really knows how to dress.
Oh, one thing I wanted to mention about Assad's performance in the whole Armand, Louis, and the Butcher sequence is like when he was like doing his impression of Regina's accent. He's so
really good.
Yeah.
Really great.
I love him. I'm going to give it to the baby pink silk blouse with the baby pink corset. Well, we can only be ourselves. Bloody cum and a baby pink corset. Coming soon to a theater near you. Okay.
Put it on the merch.
Best non-Sam Reed performance of the season.
So let me ask you a question. Who's eligible for this? Is it literally anyone but Sam? Like, is Jacob eligible?
Yes.
Then that's the pick.
Yeah. It's either Jacob or Assad, but Jacob has more time to work with.
He was so good. They're both fantastic. I was wondering if maybe they were both not eligible. And then I would pick Delaney, who was, I thought, exquisite.
Also incredible.
Yeah.
How do we pick? Who did this to us? Me. Maybe it's the Vampire Tough Cookie.
No one to blame but yourself. Yeah. Could do that. Could be like for the new characters. Who's the pick, maybe? Yeah. I mean, the primary cast is just once again sensational. They're just sensational.
Sarah Swire, TC, Tough Cookie.
Legendary stuff.
Really funny. Really, really good.
Not enough of my girl Christine at the end, by the way.
Oh, true. Well, what did she done to her sex dungeon? Papered with.
That was great. That was goals.
And then Sheila Tim is Akasha. Incredible.
Yeah, fantastic. Can't wait for more.
Wow. Okay. Very smart enriches. Last but not least. And Sam Reed, I mean, just like
couldn't have been better.
An absolute masterpiece performance.
Really, really, really excellent. Really great. Like we had high hopes, no reason to doubt. Did not disappoint.
So good. All right. Best episode of the season.
This was a tough one between two contenders, but I have to give the edge. Episode 3 finishes just behind episode 6. Episode 6 was
Montreal.
Amazing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Episode 6.
Amazing.
Well, and validation. They said the director of the episode said that the inspo for the episode was before sunset. So we were right on the money with that one.
Love.
Yeah, they're like, hey, Joanna, Mallory, let's give you a movie you love, but it's vampires and it's Louis and Lestat. Why not?
Guess what? No notes.
Oh, with a dash of incest. All right. Anything else you want to say? I'm really good. Thank you so much for doing this with me. Thanks
for
to the
bringing
Bad
the
Babies
show into my life.
who came along with us for the journey.
Always.
We're excited to see what, if anything, we learn about the show at Comic-Con and to be back with Akasha, the queen herself, in season 4.
Wait. Depending on the weight and the length, I for sure I'm going to rewatch all 3 seasons before season 4. No question. Question is whether I dip into the books.
Ooh.
I don't know. We'll see.
This season will be a really fun rewatch, I think.
I can't wait to rewatch this season.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Yeah. Also to listen. Okay. Yeah, I wonder what. I'm going to start really in serious, like putting up the numbers on the playlist to make sure it's at the top of my Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year. This is an important part of my personality that I need to make sure I follow through on. And not wind up with just like musicals for the 1940s again when they're like, your Spotify age is 98.
To be fair, that is also an important part of your personality. So you contain multitudes.
Thank you to our band.
That's
Jacob
right.
Cornett is here, Carlos Chiriboga, Scott Lee, Arjuna, Ramgopowell, and Jomi Adeniran. We'll be back with a deep dive.
Yes.
Thanks for putting up with us, turning in like a shorter episode and sort of, I don't know if you caught all of our grimaces throughout this.
We're doing our best.
Occasionally looked over at Mallory was making a pained face, and that's
time to retire to coffin. Time to retire to coffin.
We'll see you soon. Bye.